All right, so the lick I chose as my favorite lick for this month's challenge is a lick I stole from Jesse Ed Davis from his solo on the Taj Mahal cover of 6 Days on the Road, which is a great solo. And it's played there with at a different tempo and a little bit of a different feel, but the basic idea is the same. And the reason I chose this lick is, first of all, it's got all that great country major pentatonic bendy stuff that I love, and then it's played out of a major pentatonic position that I really consider my comfort zone when it comes to soloing, and that's the C major pentatonic position that's played out of a G caged shape. So it's the C major scale up here at the 5th position. So and if you're talking caged shapes, the C major chord here would be this G shape C major chord. And pretty much everything is played out of that, and you just kind of visualize, like Brian talks about all the time, that C major triad up here at the 5th fret, that's kind of a component of that C major bar chord. So it's all kind of played out of this position, and I'll play it through slowly once. Here we go. So the lick starts with a couple of bends from the 8th fret on the 2nd string up to which is a G note, up to the A note. And so again, this is all straight out of the C major pentatonic, a whole step bend. And so the first little bit is, so you're playing, you can think of it that way. So just a couple things on those bends that I try to think about is, you really, to get those bends to sound good, you want to make sure you mute them at the top of the bend. So and so what you don't want to hear is the release of the bend. You don't want to hear that kind of, that doesn't sound too good unless it's really intended and really controlled. So I think for most of these bends here, you want to find a way to mute them at the top of the bend. And a lot of the times I do it with my pick, or you can do it with your right hand also if you're more comfortable with that, depending on the context. So the first part of the lick again is, and then the next little part of the lick is a bend from the D note up to the E note here on the 3rd string. Again, C major pentatonic, and this little part goes so this little part goes like this. So we're bending from the D up to the E, and then coming back down from this G to this E. And again, you want to mute that bend, if at all possible, at the top of the bend, so it sounds nice and clean and snappy. So far it's, and then the second half of the lick, which is really one of the things that caught my ear originally, and I've really been trying to incorporate this into some of my playing, is this little, so again, all C major pentatonic, starting on this A note on the 1st string, G note on the 2nd string, and then we've got a pre-bend on the 3rd string at the 7th fret. So we're pre-bending from the D note to the E note, and then releasing down to the D note. So that's a really cool sound with that pre-bend and release. And as soon as we release it, we toggle over down to this A note. And again, so that's kind of a nice interval. And again, totally out of the C major pentatonic. So then the rest of it finishes with just a little kind of jumping around at that little position here, the C, D, and A notes. And so it ends and resolves on the D minor chord on the backing track here with a little hammer, a grace note hammer from the C to the D. So the whole second half of that, of the lick, is something like that. I'm not sure if that's exactly what I've been playing, but something like that. So the whole thing again. All right, so I wanted to quickly talk about just a couple of variations you might want to explore on this lick. So, like I said, this whole area around this C major pentatonic shape is such a sweet spot for me because of all the bending you can do and ways to vary it and make it fit. So where the original lick starts, you could instead do a double stop based lick. So something like that, where you're holding the third and fourth fingers on the first and second strings at the 8th fret. So that's a G and a C note. And again, you bend up the G to the A a whole step on the B string at the 8th fret, but do it while that C note on the 8th string is ringing. So you can bend up, or you could do a pre-bend, release, and any combination. Similarly, when the lick does that, you could turn that into a double stop based lick. So just grab that D note with your second finger, hold the G note on the B string with your third finger, hold the G note steady while you bend the D up to the E. So you might have a variation that goes something like that. Pretty cool. All right, so another idea to explore is an idea that involves holding that bend on the G up to the A and reaching back and grabbing a unison note at the same time. So it's easier just to show it, but it's something like so that's a real cool sound. So what we're doing is bending from the G up to the A, grabbing that C note, and while we're holding that that bent G up to the A, release the C note and reach back and grab the A note, which is a unison with the first finger on the first string. So, and you can do the same thing down here. Very cool sound. And I should mention it takes a little while. You want to build up to that because it definitely taxes your fingers in terms of the bending and having to hold that while reaching back. So I would say, kind of take it slow if you want to give that a try, but you could wind up with a variation that sounds something like last little variation I wanted to mention here takes advantage of the fact that we've got our C major pentatonic scale we've been playing out of course, can also be thought of as an A minor pentatonic scale. And we've got our famous blues lick that shows up in a million solos. And we can plug that right into our lick like so. And it works pretty good and adds a nice little bluesy element to it. So anyway, hope this has been entertaining, and you can explore some of this area on the neck, and all kinds of good stuff to find. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.